In the Sodder family home, the atmosphere was festive. George and Jenny Sodder were gathered with their 10 children, enjoying the warmth of their home and the Christmas spirit. Little did they know, this night would mark the beginning of one of the most disturbing mysteries in American history. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Stay with me until the end to stay up to date with this disturbing mystery. Shortly after midnight, while most of the family slept, Jenny was awakened by a strange sound on the roof. It was as if something had rolled and then fallen to the ground. Intrigued, she went back to sleep, but was awakened again about an hour later, this time by the acrid smell of smoke. When Jenny went downstairs to investigate, she found the stairs engulfed in flames. She screamed to wake George and the children. George and Jenny managed to escape with 4 of their children: John, George, J.R.B., Marion, and Sylvia, a 2-year-old. But 5 of their children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, who were sleeping upstairs, were trapped. George desperately tried to save the children. He ran to retrieve the ladder that he always kept by the side of the house, but it was missing. He then tried to use his truck to reach the second-floor windows, but inexplicably, the vehicle wouldn't start, despite having worked perfectly the day before. Desperate and powerless, he could only watch as the house was consumed by flames. When the fire finally died down, a horrifying discovery came to light. There was no trace of the remains of the 5 children. No bones, no teeth. Nothing that would indicate they had perished in the fire. Experts stated that even in extreme temperatures, human bones are rarely completely destroyed. This revelation marked the beginning of a series of troubling questions. Jenny Sodder, unable to accept the official explanation that the children had been incinerated, conducted experiments at home, burning animal bones at high temperatures. In none of the experiments were the bones completely consumed. The family began to suspect that something far more sinister had happened that night. Days before the fire, a series of inexplicable events took place. An unknown man had visited the Sodder home, trying to sell insurance. When George refused, the man threatened him, saying that his house would be destroyed by fire and your children will pay the price. Additionally, a stranger had been seen watching the children at school and asking questions about their family. On the night of the fire, Jenny received a phone call from a woman with an unfamiliar voice who laughed disturbingly before hanging up. These incidents, combined with the discovery that the house's electrical wires had been cut, not burned, further fueled suspicions that the fire was no accident. Over time, reports of sightings of the missing children began to surface. A woman claimed to have seen them in a car shortly after the fire. Another said she saw 4 of them with 2 men and 2 women in a hotel in Charleston, West Virginia. Someone in New York reported encountering a child resembling Betty, the youngest daughter. In 1968, Jenny received a photograph in the mail of a young man who closely resembled Louis, one of the missing children. On the back of the photo was written, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Ill boys." A 90132 or 35, the family hired a private investigator to look into it, but he vanished without a trace. The Sodder case has given rise to numerous theories, each more unsettling than the last. Some suggest the children were kidnapped in retaliation against George, who was a vocal critic of Benito Mussolini. Other theories point to a plot involving the Italian mafia, or even an abduction orchestrated by influential community members. There are also those who believe the children were sold into human trafficking or adopted by other families. Despite multiple investigations, no conclusive evidence has ever been found to clarify the fate of the 5 siblings. George and Jenny never gave up searching for their children. For years, they maintained a billboard on the highway with photos of the missing children and a reward offer for information. Until their deaths, they continued to believe their children were still alive. The Sodder family case remains one of the darkest and most inexplicable mysteries in American history. What happened on that fateful Christmas night? Did the children really die in the fire, or were they taken to some unknown fate? The answers, if they exist, are buried in the shadows of time. And what do you think happened? Leave your answer in the comments.